so much core for you today. I'm a little bit dreading it. So we got a lot of core. We're going to do it so much planking in the next hour that I really need to focus on getting that column really perfect. Okay, so no dropping of the hips on this. Okay, I would rather you take breaks as we go through this if you need to. Start 10 seconds late. If you're not liking on the wrist, go to a forearm option. But if your core needs a break, take a break. You're going to be under a lot of pressure here. Okay, so just to go through the basics of that plank. Just make yourself tall. Okay, so imagine raising your head straight up without lifting your chin up. Just that little bumpy part in the back of your head. Your process here. You get your finger behind that or on the bony parts behind your ear. Just raise up. So I'm just exaggerating my posture now, but so you just grab that bony part and just go straight up, and your whole body pulls up under it. Think of that marionette on the strings. As soon as you pick the strings up, the whole body gets long. Keep that cylinder stacked from your hips to your head. Keep that stacked in your plank position. Okay. So anytime you need to reset, just get tall. Often when you say get tall, chest goes out, neck goes up. I don't want that. Just raise yourself up tall. Okay. And it opens up your chest and tighten up in that position. You don't have to squeeze the glutes too hard. You don't have to, but hinge in that position. So even if you stay tall, hinge in that position. There's your plank. That's your plank. That's your plank. Okay, nothing's changed from my hip to head, hopefully. All right. So if you need to take a break, take a break. That's your plank. As you go up and down, if we're going up and down, you hold that plank. But that's the key, and that's important, and that's going to get tougher as we go through this. Okay. So take breaks when you need to. I'd rather you take a few seconds break than do a plank with a bad form. All right. So we're going to start off with your basic plank. Forearms, 1 minute. All right. Let's get ready. Set my timer. Three, two, be tall. 1, go for it. So a solid cylinder from your hip to your head. Be long and tall. You can have your forearms slightly ahead of your shoulder or directly underneath, depending on your shoulder mobility. "15 seconds, we're going to do a glute bridge. Very good. Glute bridge. Heels about your hips. All the weight on your shoulders, no weight on your head or neck. Toes off the floor. Squeeze the glutes. Raise those hips up like you're picking up a wheelbarrow. Don't curve your spine up. Just hinge it up. Straight line from chest through your knees. Hands on the ground make it a little easier. Feet close together makes it tougher. Hands off the ground, elbows off the ground makes it tougher. Gentle stretch on front of your hip. Activate the glutes. "15 seconds, you got a tall plank. Spread your fingers out on the ground when you're on the tall plank. Five seconds. And switch. So up tall, same thing, don't let that lower back sink down. Anytime you need to reset, just drop to your knees, stand up, make yourself really long, hinge at the hip, get those hands down and get those legs up. Get you in a good position. Fingers spread out and push gently into the ground with the fingers, take some pressure off your wrist. Again, that hand can be slightly forward. If you go too far forward, it puts a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but be under your shoulder or slightly forward. "15 seconds, we got flutter kicks. Not 15, 5, 3, 2, 1. On the ground, you can sit on your hands and flutter. Or you can do your dead bug, lower back in the ground and flutter. Knees passing each other, don't bend at the knees. Kicking from the hip, knees up and down, past each other. Small kick, fast kick. 20 seconds, we've got body saw plank on your forearms. Five seconds. And plank. So again, on your forearms, letting out that core. Pull your shoulders towards your hands and slide your heels back past your feet. If you have a towel on your feet or gliders, you can send your whole feet back. Otherwise, do a calf drop, do a calf raise. If it's too easy, move your feet back an inch and you'll feel a lot more. Go back until you feel your lower back about to come into play. Don't let it. You want to make it easier, step towards your elbows a little bit. I'm going to stand up in 3, 2, 1. Drop to those knees, come on up. All right, so we're going to do a standing oblique. Pull that knee across your chest. Get off those shoulders for a little bit. So my shoulders are going this way, my hips are going this way, and I'm exhaling as I crunch in. Inhale, full stretch, no weight on that outside foot. Full stretch going down, toes. 30 seconds. Get the oblique, get that knee across your body, get those core obliques working. Full stretch. 5 seconds. Shoulder tap planks. All right, lengthen out that spine as we get down. Shoulder tap. Land lightly back on the hand. Feet wide, make it easier not to tilt. Feet shoulder width apart makes it more difficult. Feet closer again makes it tougher not to tilt. Don't let that lower back sink down. Now as you fade here, you can take breaks when you need to. You can start 5, 10, 15 seconds late. Anytime we switch. We're going to stand up in 3, 2, 1. Back up, other side. So shoulders go this way, hips go this way. Start off slow, find your rhythm. Get that full stretch, no weight on the outside foot. And speed it up once you get that rhythm. If you lose the rhythm, slow down and reset. Keep facing forward. Exhale as that knee comes up and across, gets that diaphragm out of the way. Full stretch. Stretch it out. Speed it up now, 5 seconds. We're doing foot lift, plank. All right, lengthen out that spine, foot lifts. You can be on your forearms or up tall. I'd go forearms on this. The next few planks will be tall. 15 seconds. Inchworms are next. 3, 2, 1. All right, up tall. Keep your legs straight, keep your back straight. Pike at the hips. Walk your hands back, hamstring stretch. Stand tall. Wide feet makes it easier if you can't get to the ground. Wide feet makes you closer to the ground. You can choose to do a push-up or not. Walk it back, feet close together, makes it tougher hamstring stretch. And the ground's a little further away. So try and keep your back tall on the way back up. Push-up is optional. Definitely want that hamstring stretch. So try not to bend those knees until you have to. 20 seconds. We won't have to do many of these. One more. All right, 3, 2, 1. Back down to tall plank. This time, instead of tapping your shoulder, you're going to tap your hip. Tap the opposite hip. Reach for your hip. So it's like the shoulder tap, except you're going to be on your one hand just that a little bit longer. Touch your hip gently. Right hand to left hip. Remember, wide stance makes it easier. Don't tilt. And we're going to progress from hip. We're going to do knee. We're going to do ankle. Look close to it. Now to go past your hip, it involves a pike. So like the inchworm we just did, we'll get the pike first. "20 seconds. We're going to do a glute bridge again, up and down. Make sure that lower back's not dropping in. 5 seconds. All right, switch over on the back. Shoulders down, no weight on your neck or head, hips up, gentle stretch on the front of your hips. I'm going to go down and pop up. Don't pop up too aggressively. Don't want your femoral head hitting your hips too aggressively. Just get a gentle stretch in the front. Slowly down. Activate your hamstrings by lifting those toes up a little bit. And activate those glutes and your core. Next up, we got a pike plank. So this one might be a little tough on your shoulders. Just judge it yourself. Substitute it out to one we've done already if you don't like it. 4. We're going to get into a tall plank position. 3, 2, 1. Flip it over. So tall plank. feet about shoulder width. Keeping your back straight. Send your hips back towards your feet. Send your head down between your elbows and then get tall. As your hips go higher, your head goes lower, but I'm not bending at the neck. Just raise your hips up, get that hamstring stretch that we got in the inchworms. Push your hands into the floor to send your shoulders back. Now, if you got great mobility, you will get a straight line from your hip right through your shoulder into your hands. But just go to wherever you feel comfortable on that shoulder. Keeping that plank. When you come down flat, don't drop the hips. 10 seconds. We got a scissors kick on our back next. 3, 2, 1. All right, on your back. Hands on the floor beside your hips. Legs out. So I'm doing toe to heel, heel to toe. Making a very wide scissors. You can sit on your hands if you like. You can take some pressure off your lower back, or you can have your hands in the ground beside. Make it a long, wide scissors. You'll feel an inner thigh stretch, or you'll feel a gentle pinch in the outer hips. You can certainly support your head. Take some weight off your neck muscles. Just don't turn it into a circle with your feet. I want the scissors out and back. When it comes back, toe to heel, heel to toe. Next plank, tall. And we're going to do a little bit of a pike as we reach for our knees. Won't be as full a pike as we did a minute ago. All right, switch it over, tall plank. And you're going to reach for your knees. So send your hips up, keep your back straight, keep your legs straight. Left hand to right knee. Widen your stance, makes it more stable. Keep the chin and neck in alignment. Don't bring your chin closer to your chest as you do this. Push that one hand down and forward as you push your hips up and back. Now, from hip to shoulder shouldn't curve. Take your time with those transitions. Land lightly on those hands. We're going to be reaching for your shin or ankle next time. Getting tougher. Three. We're going to flip on our back again. All right, flip it over. Knees in. Hips up off the floor. And knees out as far as you're willing to bring them. Long legs is excellent. Slowly bring those knees in and out. Once your knees come in, rock your hips off the floor. You can use a little bit of hand assistance if you want, a little bit of elbow resistance as you dial it into just core, no arms. Don't just fall, don't let those hips fall back to the ground. We'll do this with longer legs in a little bit. Exhale as those hips come up off the floor. Slowly send those knees back out. 10 seconds, we're going to reach for the ankles on a pike plank. 3, 2, 1, tall plank again. So this time, reach for as far past your knee as you can. Get that tall cylinder, send those hips back, and at the end of it, you will reach further. And maybe you'll go further on one side and the other shoulder doesn't like supporting you. But hinge at the hip, straight line from hip to shoulder. Obviously, contact is not as important as keeping your back straight. I don't want you to curve over to get there. As you go back into a tall plank, don't let your hips drop down. Push that one hand in and forward into the ground and push it forward to send those hips back. Legs stay straight. Get that hamstring, gentle hamstring stretch. Lower back might get a gentle stretch. And those hips up. Again, your ultimate goal would be a straight line from hip right through your head into your hand. 5 seconds. We got a glute bridge with a march. All right, switch it over. Good job. Anytime you get to one of these that you just can't do it, that your shoulder doesn't want, or some weakness doesn't want to do it, substitute it for one we've done already that you're more comfortable with. All right, so glute bridge march, all the weights on your shoulders, heels in the ground, toes are up. Focus on not tilting. So start with both knees and feet together. Just lift your knees up. Place the foot back down. The magic here is in not shifting your weight as you switch from one foot to the other. It's not about how high that knee goes. It's about not dropping your hips and not tilting as you switch from one to the other. I have no weight on my head or neck. I'm using my elbows a little bit, but not much for balance. If you put your hands on your hips, elbows off the ground, you can really feel if those hips are tilting or dropping. Every now and again, both feet on the ground, reset, just send those hips up a little bit. All right, we got plank jacks now. Switch it over. So like the foot lifts, you can be on your forearms, get out those shoulders, out and in. Remember, stay tall and long. Anytime you need to, just kneel up, lengthen out that spine, hinge at your hip to get back down. Don't let your hips drop down on this. 30 seconds. If you don't like doing the jacks, you got your foot lift option, no tilt. 10 seconds to hollow body. 2, 1, hollow body. We're going to spend time getting that lower back into the ground. So knees, chest to knees, not head. And then let your knees go. Lower back stays in the ground. Move those knees back to a point where you feel your lower back wants to come up. You can support that head if you want. Just don't use your fingers for lifting your head. Just take a little bit of pressure off your neck muscles. But the neck muscles adapt. They really want, they got to do some of the work. So inch by inch, slowly send those feet out. And you'll find the point where your lower back wants to come up. If you go too quickly, you'll miss that point. That's where the magic happens. We got 10 seconds. We got plank up and down. So from forearm to tall. 3, 2, 1. We're going to revisit that hollow in a little bit. Up and down as a plank. Don't rotate down. Don't curve up. Do a few leading with one hand, then lead with the other hand for a few. I wouldn't switch every time. It just becomes one more thing to think about. 3 is easy though. 4. 30 seconds. Solid plank on the way up and on the way down. Maybe you got permission to take breaks. You have permission to substitute an easier one that we did earlier. 15 seconds. You do not have permission to lose that core tall cylinder. 5 seconds. Okay, on your back again. We got bicycles this time. So knee over towards the opposite shoulder. Send one foot out there. Both shoulders drop to the floor. Then one rolls over. Both drop down, one rolls over. Don't grab the back of your head and pull your head forward. If you want to touch your head, fingertips to temple. Way to go. My goal is shoulder towards knee, knee towards shoulder. Exhale deeply. Inhale as both shoulders go to the floor. Exhale as I roll over. Not elbow to knee, not chin to knee. Shoulder to knee. 2, 1. All right, back over onto your hands. Tall plank. We're going to make it a T. Okay, so I get those feet about shoulder width apart. Rotate one hand up, reach for the ceiling. Look at your hand, and as you drop that hand down, go to the other side. Keep looking at your hand as you go over. Now, you don't have to make a full T. Only go up as far as you can control that plank. So if that's 45 degrees, level with your shoulder or halfway to the ceiling, that's fine. If your shoulder doesn't like this, choose an alternate version. Shoulder taps, if you can get away with that. And no fall downs, control it down. You should be able to stop any point along the way. 10 seconds, we got another glute bridge. 3, 2, 1, back to your back. Single leg this time if you can. Go all the way up. Send one foot out there. I'm going to do all of them on one foot, but you can choose to switch every 3 or 4 reps if you want. Now it is a hip movement. Hips up, hips down. Activate your glutes a little bit. Hold the weights on your shoulder blades, just like the previous ones. If you need to take a break, you can take a break. Or if you need to switch legs, you can switch legs. We're just halfway through, and I'll let you know when we do the other leg. When we're halfway through, I just want that full hip flexion. No, hip extension. 10 seconds. Open up those hips. Put the brakes on the way down. All right, we got side planks. So pick a side. Get on your forearms. Stack your shoulder over that elbow. You can stack it. You can have your feet split, so one foot in front of the other, toe and heel touching, or you can have those feet on top of each other. Feet on top of each other typically puts a little bit more pressure on one knee, the lower knee. So if you want to spread that weight across both knees, toe to heel, I always put my top foot back because I have a tendency to rotate forward. But putting that back, top foot back, keeps my hips stacked, keeps my shoulders stacked. Straight line from head through your feet. Anytime you want, you can drop down. Wouldn't do that too often though, because that becomes a tougher exercise. Keep that cylinder. Three, 2, 1, tall plank. All right, back into hands underneath your shoulders. We're gonna do Superman. So one hand level, bring it up level with your ears. Other arm level with your ears. Feet wide, make it easier. As your hand comes up, don't let your hips drop down. It's okay if it doesn't get to a straight line. That's a shoulder mobility thing, but I don't want you dropping your hips just to get that hand into a straight line. Basically, it's just a 3-point contact plank. Sending that hand out there. You can raise your thumb up if you feel your shoulder mobility is easier with your thumb reaching for the sky rather than the back of your hand reaching up. 15 seconds. Other side plank then in 5. All right, side plank. One side is always better than the other. Typically, you would have started with your good side. So this one might be a little bit more difficult. That's fine. Take breaks when you need to. Just make sure your basics are right. Cylinder from hip to head, all in line. My weight's over my shoulder. My hand's in the ground, so I'm spreading that weight all across my forearm, not just on the pointy elbow. Take breaks if you need to. Drop to the hips. Take some tension off that shoulder. Come back up. At 15 seconds. We have another rotation plank, this time on our forearms. 5, Definitely tougher on this side for me. All right, back to forearms. But this time, fold your arms. So hands aren't pointing forward. Fold your arms, wrist to elbow, and another rotation. So folding your arms, bring one elbow up over your hips, over your shoulders, I mean, sorry. Bring those hips down. Shoulders and hips move as one. Don't corkscrew it. And at any point along the way back down, you should be able to pause. If I said stop, you should be able to freeze whatever point. So do a solid plank from hip to shoulder to shoulder. Not, you can't twist. Don't rotate it. Don't spiral it. Corkscrew it. 5 seconds. We got hollow body in and out. All right, bring it down. Back to the ground. Pull those knees in. Last time we went slowly out to a point where we had trouble. This time we kind of know where that point is. As we fade, it might be a little closer. That's okay. Slowly, knees in, knees out. If you're not using your hands to support your head, you can stretch those hands overhead too. Knees to elbows. Every time you're in, it's a chance to reset that lower back in the ground. But go slowly near the edge of your movement, edge of the range of movement, so that your lower back never comes up. And when you're in, if you do a reset and nothing changes, it means you did it perfectly. But if you're in, you do a reset and big movement there, it means you got a lot of work to do on the back end. Five seconds. And roach plank. All right, so we're gonna start in a tall position. We're gonna jack out those feet, bring it back. As a plank, go down onto your forearms, out and in, come back up, out and in, come down on the other side, out and in, back up. Remember, keep that cylinder in line. Don't let your hips drop down. Up and down as a plank. You could be foot lifts instead of a plank jack. "15 seconds. Keep it controlled." And relax. Take a break. Hold on. Hopefully you're able to maintain that cylinder from hips to head. Hopefully you felt a little bit in the core there. Well done, guys. That was 30 minutes of pure core and not a crunch in sight. The bicycle was the closest thing to curving your spine. So ideally, you don't want to curve your spine too much when you're working your core. Every now and again, it's okay. But the core is actually there to resist curving, resist rotation. So that's what we want to do. You got those bands and an anchor, you could door handle, any kind of hollow body where you're resisting getting pulled. That's fantastic core work. That kind of thing is excellent. All right, well done. Take some sips of water. It's about to kick off in here.